Welcome to a journey that we promise you is eye-opening and at times a bit unsettling. Today we're diving into a topic that affects all of us every day, whether we know it or not. It's about something you and I consume, perhaps more than we should. We're talking about processed foods, and folks, it's time to unveil the nightmare they can be. Now, we've all been there. After a long day of work, who has the time or energy to whip up a meal from scratch? And with colorful packaging, enticing flavors, and easy prep, processed foods sure make a compelling case. But do we know the real cost of this convenience? Well, let's start at the beginning. What exactly is processed food? Simply put, it's food that has been modified from its original natural state, typically for convenience, longevity, or taste. This ranges from bread to breakfast cereals, from deli meats to your favorite soft drink. But, and here's the kicker, not all processed foods are created equal. You see, there's a world of difference between foods that are minimally processed, like canned beans or frozen vegetables, and those that are ultra-processed. Think sugary drinks, microwaveable meals, and most fast food. These ultra-processed foods are where the real nightmare begins. Now picture this. These ultra-processed foods are often loaded with additives like flavor enhancers, colorants, and chemicals that extend shelf life. Sure, they make food look better, taste better, and last longer, but at what cost? Several studies link these additives to a range of health problems, from allergies and hyperactivity to more serious issues like cardiovascular disease and even cancer. That's right. Your quick meal fix could be playing a long-term gamble with your health. Even scarier, these foods are usually high in sugar, unhealthy fats, and sodium. Regular consumption can lead to obesity, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. In fact, a recent study found that people who ate more than 4 servings of ultra-processed food a day had a whopping 62% increased risk of all-cause mortality. In other words, death from any cause. Imagine that. And if that isn't enough to make you rethink your food choices, consider this. Many ultra-processed foods are low in fiber and protein. They don't keep you feeling full for long. And what do we do when we're hungry? We eat. This sets up a vicious cycle of overeating, something our bodies and our healthcare system can ill afford. Now, we're not saying all this to scare you or to guilt you. We know life is hectic, and sometimes you just need that frozen pizza. But what we do want is for you to make informed decisions. We're all about empowering you with knowledge so you can live your healthiest life. So let's be proactive. What can we do to reduce the nightmare? A simple start is to read labels. Look out for foods high in sugar, sodium, and unhealthy fats. And remember, if an ingredient list reads more like a chemistry textbook, you might want to reconsider your choice. And when it comes to processed foods, the label is just the beginning. It's time to start thinking about where our food comes from and what goes into it before it lands on our plate. For instance, have you ever considered the environmental impact of processed foods? Let's take palm oil, a common ingredient in many ultra-processed foods, as an example. The production of palm oil has led to significant deforestation, especially in places like Indonesia and Malaysia, where native forests are often burned down to make way for palm plantations. This not only destroys habitats for endangered species, but also contributes to climate change. So, that pack of cookies in your hand might be contributing to a larger problem that affects us all. Moreover, many processed foods contain genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. Now, the science is still out on the long-term effects of GMOs on human health. But one thing's for certain. They contribute to a loss of biodiversity, and in many cases, encourage the use of pesticides that are harmful to the environment, and may also pose risks to human health. And don't get me started on the amount of plastic and non-recyclable materials used in packaging processed foods. From a sustainability perspective, it's nothing short of a disaster. If you're finding all this information a bit hard to digest, well, that's precisely the point. We're not used to thinking about our food in this way, but it's high time we did. And I want to know what you think about this. After learning about the environmental impact, will you think twice before reaching for processed foods next time? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the alternatives to processed foods. One of the best ways to minimize the intake of processed foods is to adopt a whole foods diet. This means more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. The closer to nature, the better. Take the time to explore fresh produce at your local farmer's market or grocery store. Not only is this better for your health, but it also supports local farmers and promotes sustainable agriculture. Now, I know what you're thinking. All this sounds great, but what about the cost and time? Yes, fresh, whole foods can sometimes be more expensive than their processed counterparts. But think of it as an investment in your health. And when it comes to time, there are plenty of quick and easy recipes out there that can help you whip up a healthy meal in less time than it takes to heat up a frozen pizza. The shift away from processed foods isn't easy, and it certainly doesn't happen overnight. But every small step counts. Maybe it's swapping out your sugary cereal for a bowl of oatmeal in the morning, or opting for fresh fruit instead of a candy bar for dessert. It all adds up. And remember, this isn't about deprivation. It's about finding healthier alternatives that not only taste good, but also make you feel good. And the best part is, once you start reducing your intake of processed foods, your taste buds start to change, and you begin to appreciate the natural flavors of whole foods.